All right, good afternoon. I would like to call the work session of the Lake Wales Charter School Board of Trustees to order. Marie, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Pearstoff. Trustee Blair.
Here.
Trustee Hutto.
Here.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee McKeon.
Here.
Trustee Quam.
Here.
Superintendent.
Thank you, Marie. And our first item is General Counsel Update with Sean Arnold.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to share my screen and see if you guys can see everything. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Is it big enough? Can I leave it in this mode as opposed to putting it in the is it big enough for
presentation? Yeah, presentation mode would be easier.
Okay. All right, no problem. All right, so welcome back from the summer, everybody. From the last time that we spoke till now, we have all of the feedback from the legislature. We've had a chance to digest it, and we have a chance to take a look and see all of the things that they are requiring of us. And so what I've done is taken it into a presentation here to talk about a few different of the things that are here. I broke it up into what would probably be a presentation over the next couple of meetings. So I'm just going to try to keep it brief down to about 10 minutes or so this afternoon. So we're going to talk about is something that will go through the entire system of things as it relates to athletics. So that's all for FSHAA, but extracurriculars also. And so there's been a common movement over the last couple of years regarding the ability for homeschool and private school students to participate in public school activities. And so there was a few different things that that are put together in here. Some of them are technical and some of them are going to be fact specific. So schools should verify, of course, eligibility as it relates to athletics prior to the start of the school year, or then any time when students come in to it, but also in extracurricular activities. There's been work around regarding the fact that they may be enrolled or non-enrolled students. And there are certain policies that the trustees may want to consider over time. There's some things where you have some flexibility or some things where you don't, such as participation in athletics and other things like that. That's become something that's been a bit of a sore spot for some of our middle school and high school programs, but also as it relates to extracurricular activities. So for that, you have to be able to you have to charge fees that are consistent amongst the two. So there had been talk about the fact that students that were outside of the school were being charged more than the students who are within the school. And then there's also a cap on the amount that can be done in a fee. And I know most situations, the fees that public school students are charged and what the schools themselves charge is usually not going to be anything that's excessive. But there has been a cap that's been put in here because of some situations that have occurred. So they put a cap on that of $400. One just brief kind of related issue. You guys may have heard of the incident involving former NFL quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, who was using his own funds to help fund school and give certain benefits to students, such as, things that, again, I've coached athletics for 30 years, food and other things like that, transportation. It's not that these things are now, there's been some clarification coming in a couple of different ways. One of which is that this is allowable, and the coaches are allowed to do it, but there's also now a cap that's been put on it of $15,000, which is going to be well in excess of what any normal coach would do for it. But it'd be something that athletic directors need to keep in mind. And so there's some rules and things around this. If the system has some questions about this, I'm happy to dig in a little bit more, or perhaps even make sure that there's policies that are connected to this. There's sometimes going to be part of their stipend or coaching agreement that are put together are some of the questions that I've gotten to this point. So these would be some things that we'll probably be doing this year for clients as we go along. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this to recap a few things as it relates to board members' benefits, protections, and also things that are not changed. And some of the things that were changes from this, I want to make sure that are clear that there's a confluence between not-for-profit law, education law, ethics laws, and other things like that. So charter schools are very unique in that setting, and that's why sometimes I get charter schools that come to me with people who understand not-for-profit law but don't understand charter school law, and their bylaws aren't correct. And so there's been a lot of discussion around some of these things. I've gotten some questions, so I thought it would be good while I have everybody here to talk about this. Most everything that's in here, all of the things that you would find on this slide, and I'll send this presentation to staff to distribute to all of you after the meeting. Nothing that's in here talks about anything any changes that we need to make. But one thing that is interesting is that they have talked about the fact that if there's no set time for term limits and other things like that, that it now becomes 1 year, whereas it used to be that just continues on. But going into the next thing, what's not changed, or what are some of the things that have changed? As all of you know, and you've gone through your governance training and other things like that to be on the board, directors owe a duty of loyalty to the organization. And that's where the idea of ethics come in, that you can't have split loyalties, that you can't have a conflict between your duty of loyalty to this organization and some other entity, organization, person, or being. And if you do have some allowable conflicts, you have to make sure that you acted in the best interest of the organization. The most common thing is that when there's a parent on the board, you have to have that conversation like, look, you're acting in the best interest of the school, not necessarily what may be the benefit that would go in particular to your student. The standard of care was changed in terms of like what is the protection that you have. I don't really think that legally it's anything that's significant. There's also some other changes in terms of reliance on experts and advisors, that you have to actually hire them, as opposed to, hey, I talked to my CPA and my next door neighbor who's a CPA and he told me this, so I relied on that in making this decision. So attorneys, accountants, other professionals that the board uses have to be part of what you actually use for that. But what I wanted to mostly address was this idea about protection, liability protection for officers, and kind of talk through this issue with you is kind of something to remind yourself. If you act reasonably, if you don't commit a violation of the code of ethics, if you don't commit a violation of the criminal law, then what the legislature has actually done is kind of recodified this concept that if you take actions in good faith that are within the scopes of your duties of the board and consistent with your fiduciary duties, generally you have no individual liability. Even if other people may find fault with you, even if everybody says in that situation, given the choice between A and B, both of which were lawful, I would have chosen the opposite. Again, if you did act in good faith and within the scope of your duties, then there's not anything that you need to worry about. Where you actually need to worry about is if you do something that's in violation of law. Now, what actually has changed is that it's created an affirmative duty to report to the school any actual or probable material violations of law or material breaches of duty. So in other words, you can't be, what has now come along is that if you knew of something that was happening and was later discovered to know that something was happening but did nothing to report it, that has now become something that is actionable. One other quick thing I wanted to mention is that it was a restatement of a few things that were that are allowable under the Nonprofit Corporation Act, but are not allowable for charter schools, such as compensation for trustees, such as the ability to certain conflicts of interest that I mentioned earlier. There have been restatements in terms of the fact that if you can have certain things waived or if it's disclosed or whatever, then you can get through that. So I want to be careful. I want to make sure that all trustees are careful that if you hear things on the news, in the paper, some attorney friend that you're talking to, somebody else who serves on another board, hey, I heard about this. Understand that nothing revolving around charter schools as it relates to any of those things change. That is set forth in the charter statute, subsection 16 of the charter statute. That's set forth in chapter 112 of Florida statutes and a few other chapters as well that talk about what are the ethics that are related to an agency. So again, charter schools are very unique that you sit in the area of where you're not for profit sometimes, and sometimes you're governmental, and sometimes you're both. And so therefore, that's why it's a very confusing area. And that's why you go through ethics training. That's why you go through all these other things that are out there, because charter schools are a bit of a hybrid. Epilepsy and seizure disorders. There are some individual plans and other things that have been put out there. There's training that is going to be going on with staff. There will be potentially some policies and other things that may come before the board in future board meetings. That's why I bring it up. And there's some actual staff training and other things that are going to be done by the local Department of Health or by the district or by both in these types of situations to help deal with these students. There's also, again, another thing that's going to be coming forward before the board. You've, over the years that I've been working with you, have dealt with the school safety and threat management policies. I anticipate there may be some additional policies that are coming on with that. The biggest change that happened to the threat management policies this year is that they've created an unfounded threat category, which basically is that the threat itself was not valid, or that it actually didn't occur. That wasn't necessarily there before. And so in any event, that's there. There's a lot of other things that are a little bit controversial that have come up in terms of like temporary door locks, some parent notification and other things like that. All of this will be put forth to you once rulemaking is finalized by the Department of Education. And like some other rules, the legislature has said that you shall have rules that say these types of things. So there's not a ton of discretion for boards or school districts to do in these situations, but it is something that is coming. Finally, there's also going to be a policy which definitely is coming, which is related to internet safety. It's obviously something that we're all very familiar with. In previous years has gone around social media and some of the responsibilities and things that are there. This year, they're going to be focusing in on artificial intelligence. So we don't know exactly what that's going to look like in terms of responsible use, student protection, governance of emerging technologies, and other things like that. It's going to be curious to see what it is that they say that you shall do, and then where they give you this. I have schools that are split on this issue. Some say absolutely no use of AI. Some believe that it's just an extension and a more intelligent internet, and therefore it can be used for certain projects, obviously during the middle of a test or something like that, where you're supposed to memorize certain things, just like the internet, it wasn't allowed. And so there's a divergence of opinion on how these things get used. It's something that if anybody's in any industry trying to figure out the responsible use of AI, the way to make organizations better, and also what things that you need to protect from it. I know absolutely one of the big things you're going to have to worry about with AI is, just like anything else, is protection of student information, educational records, your employees' information, parents' information, other things like that. So those are all things to come on that. Any questions on anything that I presented?
I do have one question. Is the Bridgewater Act that you talked about, is that what I've heard people refer to as NIL for high schools, where they can quote unquote pay athletes? Is that what they're referring to?
No. That's something different. It's a good question. I can see why the confusion. That's from last year. And then also there was something this year as well on it. This is specifically the issue as it relates to coaches. So in other words, the allegations against Mr. Bridgewater were buying jerseys, buying gifts, but in other situations, it was buying food, kids, and those types of things. So things that you have impulses to do as a coach to help out kids, particularly kids who, in any situation, but particularly ones who don't come from means. But the NIL is a separate thing from that. And if the school if the school ever wants to engage in that type of thing, I definitely think we need to have some policies and procedures around that issue. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and that's just also briefly. There's a couple policies that are on today that were presented by us. I worked with staff who did a great job of putting everything together. So I'll let those items come up as they come, and if you have any questions on that, I'll stand by to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. All right, we will go into our third agenda item, which is the presentation of the charter contract renewal for Bach Academy South, and I'll invite Mrs. April Barnhart, our principal, up to the podium.
Good evening. Edward W. Bach Academy South is now in the process of our charter renewal contract. Our 15-year contract is completed in 2027, June 30th, 2027. So we have been through the application process. I think we've got 217 pages of data, goals, where we want to move our school forward to. So that's what we're in the process. We're requesting to renew our contract for another 15 years. We feel as Bach Academy South that our academic record has shown that we deserve another 15-year contract. Our ultimate goal is to be a high-performing charter school, which is consistently to receive an A score, a grade, school report card grade. We were at 63.2%. We're 0.8% from an A this year. We met with our staff at the right before school started, and our mission is Renaissance thinkers in a digital age. This is my 4th year at Bach Academy South, so I know the vision, I've seen it on paper, but have I seen it around the school? We have not, so that is in our charter renewal contract. So we met as a team, staff, we brainstormed ideas to get back to Renaissance thinkers in a digital age. So that's our goal as moving forward in our charter contract. Anything that we put in that charter contract, we're going to meet those needs in the next 5 years. Even though it's a 15-year charter contract renewal, we do have a review in 5 years to see our progress with the county. So once we have approval from you all, we move forward with Polk County Schools, and they will visit us 4 to 5 times this year and review parts of our charter renewal contract, visit our school, see how we're meeting the vision and mission of our school. We have set our goals, not just small increments. We feel in 5 years we should be able to improve 10 percentage points in most of our main subjects: reading, math, language arts. Science is, it's been a thorn in our side, so the goal is not as high in the next 5 years, but we really believe that we're on the right path. And a major goal for Bach Academy, I think probably all the schools, is to find highly qualified teachers. It's been a struggle, so we put that as one of our goals too, is to not just hire to place people into a classroom, and not to just, if we have we have a sub that's doing a dynamite job, we're not just going to hire a teacher that is not there ready, and we have a sub that's working for their degree. So we're really trying to put the right people in the right position.
And Mrs. Barnhart, all the goals that you have in your charter renewal contract align with the Lake Wales Charter School Plan and becoming a high-performing system,
Yep.
correct?
And those same goals are in our school improvement plan that we report to the state.
Yes.
Question, so great goals, shooting for the high performing. If you don't make the A, does that affect your charter renewal?
No, that's our goal, 5-year goal.
Okay.
We would just have to adjust. They'd come review, and we'd have to adjust our goals.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. You mentioned the Renaissance thinkers. I guess that's kind of a general, I'll call it concern issue. Are there any specific concerns with the contract renewal that we should?
No, I don't believe there are any concerns whatsoever. I just think that we had a 5-year review, so there was no concerns then. It's just as I came in, the vision, that's what your school needs to live and breathe, and we're just not seeing it. So we've had the kids the first week back brainstorm. Actually, we taught them what Renaissance thinkers were in every class. We taught them about lake wells, and we did activities about Crooked Lake, and we had the kids brainstorm ideas of how we could become more of a Renaissance thinker in a digital age. And so we're compiling all their lists, our teachers' lists, and we're going to come up with our 3 main goals, I should say, for this year, and then add on. And one of them is community service. It's ethos of service, so we need to get back to that. So each grade level, we're implementing a student government in each grade level. They'll come up with community service projects and things like that. We want the students to be, big parts of this. Good.
Are there no other questions? All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, I will invite Mrs. Amanda Bender to the podium to talk about our Lake Wales Charter School reading plan.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I am presenting our District Comprehensive Evidence-Based Reading Plan, or what we call the SERP. A SERP is our system-wide blueprint for how we teach reading from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. It outlines our curriculum, our goals, and how we support students at every reading level. What makes this year's SERP different is a major shift in our approach. In the past, reading plans often focus heavily on adding extra software programs, buying new testing packets, or managing literacy from an administrative lens. However, these items are not the ones in the classrooms teaching students to read. Teachers are. That is why we are shifting to a teacher-focused alignment. This alignment adds job-embedded training through literacy coaches that will be going into the classrooms to co-teach, model strategies, and provide real-time support. This also connects our reading plan directly to our Lake Wales Charter School System strategic plan commitments by empowering educators, by recognizing teacher effectiveness as the single most critical fact in student success, and establishing consistent standards across all 7 of our charter schools. Academic and financial resources by backing our teachers with a direct investment in the classroom tools, literacy coaching, and family literacy events. Accountability through engagement with weekly classroom walkthroughs and monthly teacher data chats with real feedback and teamwork. By aligning our reading blueprint directly with our strategic plan targets, we are aiming to increase system-wide reading achievement from 56% to 70% and help all our campuses reach or maintain A school designations. By focusing our energy on teacher alignment, we are giving our educators the exact tools they need to help every student in Lake Wales become a confident, successful reader. Thank you.
And I wanna thank Mrs. Bender for her work on helping put together the reading plan this school year. Mrs. Bender is new to her role as an elementary literacy coach across all 4 of our elementary schools, and this was purposeful and intentional use of our federal funds in order to be able to support our high reading goals that we have across all of our campuses and support our campuses and our educators and our students in the way that works for each school in each classroom. So any questions for me and Mrs. Bender?
Couple quick questions. What do the summer reading camps look like? I'm just looking through this packet here.
So this past year, they were done at the schools. They were cohesive with our strategic plan, and the students got to come to campus. They did a book study and got to align actual hands-on activities with those.
And is that, and I'm just asking, is that something that's offered for all kids? Is that mainly for kids that were behind grade, or how does that work?
I believe it starts with those that are in need, and then it's offered out to all, depending on amount of students.
Right. Okay. So it starts with our primary focus is on grade 3 students that would possibly be retained because of reading. This past summer, Jeannie Howard Wilson was our campus that hosted our students from across the charter system. They also had an additional grant where more students were invited to participate as well, and I believe that was through Dollar General or Dollar Tree, Miss Griffiths, I can't remember. Was it Dollar General or Dollar Tree grant? Dollar General, thank you. And then also Hillcrest Elementary School also hosted summer camp, and that was through the help with the Arts Council, as well as other sponsors. But as a charter system, we hosted it at Janie Howard Wilson.
So, and I'm glad to see not that necessarily throwing money at it fixes it, but I'm glad to see the emphasis on family engagement as well. I think that reading at home is huge, so that's good work.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mrs. Bender.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I will invite Mrs. Marcia Rose, our Student Services Director, to talk very briefly about our Hazel Health contract. And I understand you might have a few pieces of data for us.
I do. Thanks, guys, for letting me come up and just kind of give you an update and say thank you to you all for supporting this. So Hazel Heart is the mental health portion of this contracted service. Generally, these are 6 to 8 week meetings with mental health providers. Last year, we had 166 students who were referred to these services and 101 families enrolled in the program. Those 101 students made up 652 mental health visits, and 19 of those were referred out to community resources after their 8-week mental health services were completed with Hazel Health. Some of the top reasons that they were referred were for family concerns, anger, anxiety, sadness, struggling in school, defiance, and behavior changes. And then already from July 1st until August 6th is when we pulled the numbers, we had 18 students already participating in mental health services, and already 47 visits had been completed. There is also a physical health portion of this. Last year, excuse me, from July 1st until June 30th, we had 264 families participate in this. We had a total of 956 medical visits completed via telehealth. 932 of those were able to be returned back to class, which means we saved about 2,800 academic hours or instructional hours. So that's about a 97.7 return to class rate. Of those visits, most common complaints were headache, menstrual cramps, stomach ache, sore throat, nasal congestion, and sneezing. We're able to return these back to class because the student joins telehealth right in our clinics with our nurse, and mom and dad can join the telehealth visit. Hazel Health provides Tylenol, ibuprofen, Pepto-Bismol, hydrocortisone, refresh eye drops, Zyrtec, all of those things that can be administered with the nurse under the direction of the provider with the family consent at the same time, which is why we can return them immediately to class instead of, my stomach hurts, you need to go home. So I just want to say thank you, because some of our most needy students get to be seen and don't have to miss class.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead, question.
I was going to say, can you repeat how many students it served again?
So there's 2 programs. We had 166 students referred for mental health.
Okay.
101 of those, the family said yes, and then participated in a 6 to 8 week mental health. So around 652 visits. And then we had 264 families participate in physical health. We had 956 medical visits that were completed.
Oh, just a general question. So when my daughter calls me and says, Mom, I'm sneezing or something like that, so I just get her in this program and y'all give her Zyrtec and send her back?
Yes, and it's very easy. Our nurse can right then send you a text, and all you have to do is hit accept, enroll. It's 5 minutes or less. You can be on the phone with the provider and your student who's in our school clinic.
Perfect.
Yes.
And that's helpful for families too, right?
Yes.
Because we can't always get ourselves to doctor's appointments or those types of things. So it's helpful for everybody all around.
Right. We had, and like I told you guys, I think last month and the month before, we had 450 homeless students. A lot of these students are students who do not otherwise have access to care. And so you guys are providing that. And it's also really helping with our mental health of our students. So. All right. Thanks, guys, for supporting it.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have our Lake Wales Charter School Internet Safety Policy, and I will invite Mr. Kevin Bender, our IT Director, up to talk briefly about our Internet Safety Policy. And then he will stay at the podium because then we'll go directly into our Lake Wales Charter School AI Policy. Mr. Bender, welcome.
Hello, everyone. All right, so we're going to start with the Internet Safety Policy. And basically what I'm bringing forward for today's review is that the state of Florida requires the board to approve and re-adopt an Internet Safety Policy every year by September 1st. And so we're just going to walk through what's changed, what's stayed the same. So first off, what this policy is. First and foremost, it just acknowledges a baseline of what our expectations are for student internet use. It notes that it's required for any of our owned or provided devices and any of the privately owned devices that are connected to our internet. And it ensures that we have the necessary infrastructure to stay compliant with all the federal and state statutes and regulatory requirements. So really the big changes from this one, first, it's an adding of a curriculum mandate. This was required by the state. It requires that in grades 6 through 12, that we provide age-appropriate instruction on social, emotional, and physical effects of social media, including its addictive nature, safety protocols for identifying cyberbullying, predatory behavior, human trafficking, and the permanence of digital content. These lessons are actually provided by the Florida DOE, so our teachers would just need to present that lesson. The next policy addition is a section on classroom management. It just formally documents the authority teachers and staff already have in place. This is the ability to designate specific times or areas where wireless communication devices are prohibited during instructional time. The next section is our TikTok ban. This just codifies the prohibition on TikTok and any successors on all district or school-owned devices and privately owned devices that are connected to our internet. It also prohibits TikTok to communicate or promote the district system, a school-sponsored club, an extracurricular organization, or any athletic team. And then finally, it updates the cross-references within the filtering and personal identifiable information protection language, just to be in line with state statute. It was more of a citation correction in the previous version, but we're just going ahead and correcting that during this version. So what's carrying over? We keep our content filtering in place to block any age-inappropriate material on every device on or off campus that's connected to our networks. We restrict social media access to teacher-directed educational use. Vendors and platforms must agree to protect student personal identifiable information in accordance with the state statute. Email, chat, and messaging are supervised and limited to our sanctioned platforms. And the system monitors network activity and can remotely revoke access if needed. So with that, do you have any questions on the Internet Safety Policy?
How is under the social media where it says that we shall provide age-appropriate instruction, how is that administered? When's that administered?
So that is something that will need to be discussed. It's more procedural that will need discussed within our schools, but it is Florida DOE provided. They're just lessons that will be provided.
Okay, so it's standardized from the state, you're saying, but we just have to administer it?
Correct. It's nothing that we would need to create.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other questions on internet safety?
And I did read in here that our vendors and, people that we contract with have to sign an agreement saying that they're doing this.
Correct.
What are we doing due diligence to make sure they really are doing it?
That's a great question. So we are part of an organization that looks into that for us. It's just a consortium from around the state, and that is really what we're relying on.
So we don't have any internal process where we're double checking that, making sure that's okay? I mean, so I'm guessing there's like a filter on the modem at the school where kids can't download things, can't access TikTok?
Correct. But in addition to that, we do have checks that we put before we add any application to our system, just to make sure that they have the proper things in place. It's normally policies that are on their website, just verifying that they commit to doing these things, but ultimately following up, that lies is $1 million question.
That lies with, so I mean, policies are great, but if we're not following up on it, then they're pointless, right? So I guess that's, I think maybe that's his question, is how are we checking on this?
So one area of checks and balances is that we use a single sign-on service called Clever. And so when we are rostering with Clever will only interact with organizations that have the data privacy and those systems like actually in place. So we can immediately cut on and cut off any type of issue with students, like their access to platforms that have been authorized by Lake Wales Charter School, by using Clever. So Clever is a really good partner with us when it comes to ensuring that we're meeting those student data privacies and we're following the policy. But where it starts is their commitment to us and then our interaction with them as students and teachers are interacting within the system.
Right. So do we have, I should know this, my daughter goes to school here now, like, are the kids given access to Wi-Fi here?
Just on their student devices.
So their cell phones, they have no access?
No, we do not provide that to them.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So I guess I was asking is the subtleties of any privately owned devices that we're not allowing access to. So they could still walk around the campus with their phone looking at TikTok?
If they're on their own personal data plan, yes.
Okay.
And that part we can't control.
No,
If you
yeah,
have
that's
cellular
fine.
service, right, that would not be a part.
I didn't know if they had access to Wi-Fi. I didn't know it was like a student Wi-Fi password. That's why I was asking.
No.
My main concern, and I think it's valid due to the fact that nobody's really addressed it. When you are dealing with these vendors and third party, and I know this because I have went through the middle of this, if you haven't done your due diligence to make sure that what they say they have is in place, you are still fully liable for any breaches they have. So if they breach and our students' PII information gets out, it's going to come back to us. So I think we need some type of policy to make sure, like, let's delve into it a little bit. And if we need to contract with a firm to do that, that's going to be money well spent down the road.
Trustee Thompson, I think what you're referring to is our cybersecurity and safety policy. So we already have within our emergency protocols and procedures, and it's also required by our liability carrier, and it's also audited during our financials, that we have to have systems and processes in place whenever there is any type of data breach. So we do have that in place. So what I think we need to supply to the trustees is some education or information about how we do those things already within Lake Wales Charter Schools. All right, if there are not other questions, we'll go on to our AI policy. Mr. Bender.
All right. So just a quick framing note before I really get into the content about this policy. This policy is, and likely always will be, a work in progress. The technology is going to be constantly evolving. So what we're really trying to establish here is just a summary of the philosophy that we as Lakeville Charter Schools are going to take, and then provide some provisions that matter the most, the ones you'll likely get if you get questions from parents or from the community. So we use the term augmented intelligence deliberately throughout this policy instead of just artificial intelligence. The distinction matters. AI is here to enhance what our teachers and staff are already doing. It's never meant to substitute for human instruction, human judgment, or the personal connection that really is the heart of what makes Lakewood Charter Schools work. In building this policy, we avoided the two extremes. The first was an outright ban. It might feel safe, but it's not very realistic. AI is already part of the modern world, and students are already encountering it. And a ban just means staff have no guidance and no guardrails when it inevitably comes up. The second extreme is just unrestricted adoption, letting every teacher or department pick whatever tool they like. That's a serious data privacy and academic integrity risk, in my view. And it's one that we spend most of tonight's briefing addressing. So instead, we landed on a balanced framework built on 3 commitments. We safely authorize AI where it adds value. We protect students first and always. And we empower educators to make classroom level calls because they know the students and their content best. So the next thing I want to talk about is just our requirement for the tools used in our system. First and foremost, IT will be involved to vet all of these. Explicitly, we're approving these just to ensure that it meets our requirements. And this will include any free chatbots, browser extensions, and AI features that are built into apps that we're already doing. We're going to go back through all of those. We're requiring a closed loop system. This means that the vendor has contractually guaranteed that anything entered in the tool, prompts, uploads, student data, it stays inside a secure network, and it cannot be used to train the vendor's public AI models, and it can only be used internally. It can't be used to be sold or shared with outside parties. Every tool has to meet FERPA and all of the other policies in the federal and state level, including Florida's own student privacy statutes. And then it's centrally governed, and I, as IT director, will maintain one living registry of every approved tool. So there's a single source. Staff aren't guessing what's allowed and what's not. So you may ask, what happens to stop a teacher from just using ChatGPT with student data? And the answer is this provision, because it would be out of policy. And we do have some accountability pieces here that we'll get to in a moment. On the classroom level, this is how it actually plays out from day to day. We're formally adopting an AI assessment scale. For every assignment, a teacher would assign a level from 1 to 5. Level 1 would be no AI. That's complete human execution, zero assistance. Level 2 and 3 cover more of the ideation and editing portion. So you could use it for brainstorming or checking your grammar, making sure the structure of it looks well. And level 4 and 5 move into co-creation, full AI use, where students are expected to cite all AI contributions, and at the top level, critically evaluate the AI's output as part of the assignment. The point of the scale is clarity. A student should always know exactly how much AI is acceptable for the task in front of them. And that expectation has to be spelled out in the course syllabus for any level above 1. Advanced programs like AP, IB, and CTE academies are allowed to set stricter limits than this baseline. But regardless of what a teacher sets, there are 3 lines that never move for anyone in any class. AI can never finalize a grade, a graduation eligibility decision, or a disciplinary action. Those stay human decisions, period. Nobody, staff or student, may submit AI-generated content as their own original work. And AI may never be used in a way that produces discriminatory or biased outcomes for students. Any questions so far?
I do have a question. Under statute 5.0, professional administrative use, just for clarification, because I don't see it here, what is our policy? Which platforms are the teachers allowed to use to check for AI usage?
To check for it. That's excellent. So there are AI detection tools out there, but they aren't perfect. So we are fully vetting some other options just to see what is the best fit for us as a system. But right now, it's more about the teacher understanding the students and their writing styles and having that personal connection. Eventually, we are going to have tools in place that can assist with that as well. But right now, it's that human connection component that we're relying on.
So the reason I'm asking is I've heard this from multiple parents, and I've had this issue with two of my students last year where two of my kids were accused of using AI when the teacher used AI to say they used AI. And one of my kids was told they used AI for 4% of an assignment. So I guess what I'm asking is, I don't have a problem with teachers utilizing AI to check for AI, but there needs to be some, I think, agreeance on why would my son have the computer do the last 4% of his work? Like, that just sounds sort of kind of silly. So to even mention it seemed arbitrary. So I'm asking this real world, what are we doing? Have we vetted? Have we said there's one software that the teachers can use, or multiple platforms?
From my experience, there is no perfect AI detector.
Right, that was my question. Which ones are we allowing? Because if we're not, because this says that we're not going to allow one unless you vetted it. So that's why I'm asking, are we going to vet one?
At this point, we do not have any approved.
So what you're saying is that teachers are not, if we pass this right now, the way it's written, teachers are not allowed to use a computer to check for AI-generated information.
So we have to keep in mind that, like, policy is like your guardrails and your framework.
Sure.
So what's going to happen from here as soon as that we have this approved is that there is going to need to continue to be professional learning and training on how to actually do this and what is like effective practices when it comes to that. I think from an AI perspective, we get hung up on whether it's plagiarism or not plagiarism, or having like what part of the student's work is that. It actually needs to start from the beginning. When you set up, when you're doing lesson plans or you're setting up an assignment, you need to know what the goal is. It has to be built directly into your rubric. You need to be teaching and showing students alongside of them how they actually use this tool, and that will evolve over time. So I am not predicting that tomorrow when classes start, if this is approved, that at high school they're going to have this AI detection piece like ready to go. That's going to be a work in progress, but this gives us a start to put together practice. So currently right now, the high school is using Turnitin, and so Turnitin.com is helpful, but once again, and that's been approved for just plain plagiarism versus AI
specific.
right, AI detection. And so that's where we're going to have to work through this. So what we need from the Board of Trustees is approval of what are going to be the guardrails and the framework, so then we can work out the practices and protocols with our educators and then educating our students from there.
100% agree. And Ms. Conrad, I've had multiple conversations. This is something
Yes.
I've highly pushed for. Are the middle schools, are they using Turnitin? Do we know?
Do we know?
No?
No.
Okay, so I'm just going to give an example. Had a child last year was said, hey, read these 6 paragraphs. For each paragraph, give a 1-sentence synopsis of that paragraph, but you have to use one of these 6 sentence starters. So it looked AI generated because she had to start her sentence with these 8 words, and then she was accused of AI. And I'm like, well, if you tell her to make it say this, it's going to look that way. So I came up to school and had a parent-teacher conference because the teacher used AI in accusing my daughter of using AI. So I'm asking for some clarification. I think these are great. If we're going to make the policy, we have to know how to implement it. And I know there's going to be a million amendments to this, and I'm fine with that. I don't care if this comes up at every meeting, but I don't want kids getting falsely accused of things. You use this for 4%. You have to use this sentence starter, so it's going to look canned, but then we're going to accuse you of using AI. So I guess making the policy is great. We might have made the policy using AI. I don't know. Right? Quite possible. This probably came off the internet. So I say that to say I understand both sides of this. I just want to make sure that we're clear so that we don't have certain teachers at certain levels going, well, hey, I like utilizing this tool, but if that's not vetted and approved by use, that's why I was asking,
Right.
Are we in the process of vetting certain?
The tools for the teachers will be Claude and Gemini, and for students, it would be Gemini only. And that's because in the reporting side of it, we have a greater insight into what's being done.
Okay, so, but that could change. We could add Grok,
could.
we could add
Absolutely.
whatever. Okay, okay.
So other questions? This is, we're going further into uncharted territory than either like other districts or other pieces go. And so this is our first step into the AI pool.
Essentially, what we're looking for is just approval that we can begin the procedural side of this to see how we can implement it well.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. The next up is, I'll review this real quick. We have a CTE purchase that is over the $50,000 threshold. And thank you to Mr. Saran and his team, Mrs. Thompson, for getting this together and advocating for getting this on here so we can get students using the Amitral structures, thermal, and welding technology trainers, as well as an online access for that. So we are seeking approval for this purchase because it's over the $50,000 threshold, and it's also a one-source vendor. This is the only source, so we will be asking for approval. Are there any questions on this?
This is a welding thing?
Correct. Yeah, this would go in the engineering pathway. Is that correct? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, coming from a finance guy who also used to be a welder and an engineer, I really looked at this. It is really interesting. It's not just welding, it's static construction, it's dynamic construction, bridge, trusses, and with the current program between Polk State and Florida Polytech, this is really going to set our students up to where they can get to that AS in engineering services, and then go further into Polytech if they would like to jump into 3 semesters of calculus back to back. They can go get that. So yes, it's much more than welding, but it really excited me that we have some hands-on stuff going on. Thank you, Mr. Saran, for that.
Thank you for that plug, Mr. Thompson.
Wow, I didn't know you were so talented. So,
That's awesome.
question, where is that money coming from?
That is coming directly from our CAPE funding. So each time that any of our high school students take certification exams, we get dollars back from the state to fund and to funnel monies back into that program. Our applied engineering program actually generates the highest number of dollars, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. So we are required to spend 80% of what an academy generates back on that academy. And that academy has well over 150,000, if not more. Mm-hmm. So this purchase will be completely funded through the CAPE academy. Mm-hmm. All right.
Awesome, thank you. Going into the next part, we have our superintendent's update, and if it is okay with the Board of Trustees, I want to make sure that we have time to go over the adopted budget and answer any questions, so I will hold that over to the business meeting if that's okay. All right. Also, we will have minutes from June 22nd for the work session, and the actual meeting will be in the board business meeting part of it, along with the minutes from July 27th, the special board meeting. And then our next meeting date for the Board of Trustees will be work session 4 o'clock and board meeting at 5:30 on Monday, September 21st, right here in the Lake Wales High School auditorium. So with that, I will have Mr. Alricky Smith, our CFO, come to the podium, and we are going to review monthly financials, and then we'll go into our adopted budget for 2026, 2027. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good afternoon, board members. Thank you for joining us today. First, we'll go over the June financial statements. I'm going to make this brief because we've seen these throughout the year. Nothing changed other than we're at the end of the year, and these are unaudited financials. So what I like to do is just quickly go through the balance sheet, where our assets actually increased to 58.9 million, and our liabilities, they actually decreased to 19.6. Again, these are unaudited financials. Our auditors actually started today, so once these are presented, then we'll come back, we'll talk about the audited position that we landed in for the end of the year of 2025-26. Our cash flow is pretty steady, as looking at where we are in the cash flow in terms of our liquidity. And a few other things I want to highlight. So looking at the statement of operations, if we can go down between pages 4 and 13, we ended the year with a decrease in our fund balance, where we had actually projected that we would actually use 1.6 million. The board approved that last year. We actually only used 1.3 based on this in our reserve. So we actually came out pretty better off than what we actually planned it. We didn't quite need $300,000. So I just wanted to highlight that. Federal programs, we actually spent 92% of what we were allotted. This is great because normally we're around 85 to 90%. So at 92% of our federal programs, we're doing a pretty good job expending those. Our transportation services was up just slightly due to fuel costs. Is there anything you want to discuss particularly with our June financials? Okay, great. And again, once these are completed, we will revisit the financials for June. Now, let's get into our 2026-27 budget. This is a new format that is presented, a lot of information. The budget document in the past has been about 20 pages. This is about 43 pages. I provided it to you. Each of you received the email from me. If you want to spend some time with me to go over the particulars, I will not read the whole document to you, although I have some time. We would just go through, spend some time starting on page 5, and we'll spend some time between page 5 and page 10. Briefly go over the budget in terms of the revenue highlights by fund. The highlight for our general fund is that our FELP funding is $42.8 million at a student FTE amount of $8,398 per student. Our federal programs total revenues will be about $4.3 million. Our food service, we're expecting it to be $5.3 million. And then our capital resources are there that will be presented later. Our expenditure highlights is that we plan to expend $47.6 million. Special revenues, including food service, will be $9.7 million. Our capital expenditures, primarily from our PICO funds, is $1.2 million, which we will have $700,000 for debt service. Our insurance cost is projected to be $7.7 million, and we have a 1% cost of living adjustment for non-instructional, and at minimum a 1% cost of living adjustment for instructional. The TSIA will dictate the final teacher salary increase for our instructional personnel, and that plan will be presented to you in September for approval, because we have to turn it into the Florida Department of Education by October the 1st. So at the next board meeting, we'll present to you our teacher salary increase. In the meantime, the teacher advisory committee will be put together, and that team, along with Mr. Pearsall, and it used to be Dr. Huddle on that team, but if anyone else chooses to be a part of that committee, as we put together what that package will look like, you guys are welcome to join that meeting. Superintendent, HR, and myself will also be a part of that committee as we go through and decide how best to allocate those dollars that's provided in the TSI. Page 6 kind of breaks down exactly where our money comes from. Again, our general fund revenues, general fund, internal service fund, as well as our after-school program, all totals $47.8 million, slightly down from our revised budget in 2026. The decrease is primarily the transfers from the schools, internal transfers. We're anticipating transferring a little bit less than what we had to in order to get through the year. Our capital projects is decreased as a result of our 1919 building project has come to complete. Special revenues, our special revenues are up $226,126. That's primarily our entitles, where we'll see the increase in revenues. And then our health insurance fund. Health insurance costs for just the claims themselves, just the claims, are up 8%. And then we have some other costs that are actually leading towards that to get us to 10.3. Any questions as I go through this?
Just for clarification, so you're saying costs from last year were up to 10.3%?
From last year, from our revised budget.
Okay,
Yes,
right,
sir.
so we revised the budget to reflect that for this year.
We revised the budget to, last year, you remember we went over and we came back for approval.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And so we adjusted it up.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Page 7 highlights where we're actually spending this funding at. And then I'd like to move on to page 10. One of the areas that I want to highlight is that with this particular budget, part of the general fund would be us using the reserves one last time, well, hopefully one last time, to support the operations of the organization. Our cleaning is $865,000. We have our separate class at Jeannie Howard Wilson, along with a dean position at Jeannie Howard Wilson. So we need a total of $242,000. We have advanced placement resources that the superintendent and Mr. Saran actually are requesting that we use $200,000 of those advanced placement dollars that's set in a particular reserve for advanced placement activities. And this is a one-time initiative. And then our benchmark, we passed that back in the spring. We need a total of $182,000 in order to actually complete that purchase. We also have system-wide $182,486 in retirement leave payout. And that's for a couple employees that's retiring and that we actually owe them for their vacation time and some of their sick time. So to hold the schools harmless, we're requesting that we actually use the reserves to actually pay those one-time payments. Those are the highlights that I wanted to kind of note, but I welcome discussion. Not everybody at once.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what page it's on. I'm gonna find it.
Let's say if you're referring to your question that you emailed me.
Yes.
Okay, so Trustee Blair emailed a question surrounding page 27, which highlighted the fiscal services and the central services. The fiscal services is actually the finance department. It's finance personnel, it's our accounting software, it's our professional development, a little bit of travel, and that's primarily everything that's in that particular area. And then there's some discussion about the central services. The central services primarily is our personnel services, which includes HR and payroll. Any specific questions on those areas? Okay.
So if I look at this budget, I see where finance went down, central went up.
Correct.
Okay.
There was a reorg that was completed at the beginning of the year or the end of last year to where we moved a payroll manager and a payroll assistant, half of a payroll assistant to the HR. So some of that is personnel costs. We had some other issues or other areas that actually was not covered in the prior year with these funds were covered with other sources. And that is, we have an EAP vendor for our wellness area, which is $59,000. In the prior year, that was actually paid for by our one of our platforms that's offered in our HR. They paid for that for us. They actually told us that they were no longer going to cover that, so we went to the market to find, a vendor to cover that, and so that was at our expense. Once we moved away from Optum, we had to actually cover that particular cost. We have our substitute system of Red Rover. We have a little bit of Skyward training in there because we are migrating from our current accounting system, this version, which is Skyward Cumulative to,
Skyward SMS to
Skyward
Skyward
SMS
Cumulative.
and over to Cumulative. And so that will require all of the folks in HR as well as some folks in HR payroll as well as some folks in accounting to get retrained on that. So we have a little bit of training as well as our vector training for our system. System-wide, our vector training keeps us in compliance with all of our personnel related requirements. Our HR director can explain that a little bit more on that. So that particular activity for the vector training is actually roughly about $25,000 we'll cover with a different funding source in the past. So accumulation of those particular costs actually created the increase within that particular function area. We're good? Oh, all right. Listen, I was anticipating
Mr. Smith, I have,
more.
I have
Absolutely.
one other question, and please forgive me because I reviewed this late at night. So what percentage of what comes in, and I kind of looked at it, maybe you'll know, is in our central office administration, and not just central office, like keeping everything going, compared to what's going to the individual schools? Do you have an idea about that?
So our overall goal for central office functions, pure central office functions on a regular basis is 5%.
Okay.
We like to push 95% to the schools, and we work through that budget quite a bit. This is a budget that's been started in the month of February, and I think we brought it all the way up to the last hour, trying to make sure that we keep as much at the school level as possible. There are some one-time expenditures in there they just happen. For example, the Skyward conversion. Those are just that happens. That's in there. We have some debt service in there that will go away in a couple years. For example, the way that it passed through would be Lake Wells Charter School pays the bills for those that technology that we purchase. That's in the central office and not on the schools, where we actually pull that revenue in from the schools and then we pay the bill. So that shows up on our financials because of that's the way it's structured. The terminal pay, we have some folks that are in the central office, one person in transportation. That's a one-time hit. And then over time, we'll have the same thing as people, move on and retire. So those are not normal operations, but they do, contribute to that area.
One other question that hit me, we're pulling out of reserves, and I
Yes, sir.
believe last year we pulled out of reserves.
Yes, sir.
Where do we stand in reserves? I believe statute asks us to have 5%. We try and keep 10%.
Statute requires 3.
Oh, okay.
Our policy is 5, and the superintendent and I have concluded we want to keep 10. Right now, the audited financials, 6/30/25 is 8.7 million. If I include the projected reserve usage at this year, that's unaudited, we'll wind up at 7.3 million. And if we were to, the board was to approve what's being requested, we'll be somewhere around 5.7, somewhere in that nature. So we're still north of the 10% threshold, but we do have to address some things like the cleaning, our healthcare costs, because the healthcare costs, although it sits in that particular fund, most of that cost, if not all of it, is generated by the general fund. We have a few employees that's paid for with federal funds where their healthcare cost is actually covered by those particular funding sources, but majority of it is actually coming from the general fund. And that has a huge burden on the schools, you know, their ability to balance and do the things that they need to do. So we have to kind of get the healthcare costs under control. And Dr. McKeon and I will be working along with a few other folks to start those conversations to offer a different program moving forward to stabilize it at, you know, at the minimum.
I'm going to ask one more question.
Oh, plenty.
I'm reserving the right to keep going, though. So there's two sides of every balance sheet,
yes, sir.
Income and expenses. And we always look at expenses. Our income is from students in the seats, okay? Where do we stand as far as capacity-wise as a district? How many open seats do we have?
Well, I'll let the schools speak to where they have capacity, because a lot depends on grade placement, you know, and what they can actually accept. For example, there may be space at a particular location, but there may not be space in a particular grade, and therefore it may cause a little bit of an issue with that. I would say, and not picking on any particular schools, we have a couple of the elementary schools that are, you know, down on enrollment, that they're working really hard to get that moved. I think we made some adjustments with Bach North's enrollment, bringing it to a level that provides the best service for those students. So we do have a little bit of room within in our system, but it depends on where the grade level is.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say, other questions or?
No, I've spoken with Al Ricky a couple times today. I've called him multiple times to ask questions as I was reviewing this over the weekend and again today. So, yeah, the questions I had, he's answered. They all seem pretty straightforward. I was just asking on any outliers, some of these changes where numbers seem to significantly go up or down. And like you said, a lot of these seem to be where money got moved from this to allocation to another allocation. So.
Thank you.
And as I was looking at this, Mr. Arnold had indicated that charter schools actually are not like held to the 3%. They, in charter school law, is basically they just need to have, charter schools just need to have a fund balance. So we are setting a higher standard for ourselves here in Lake Wales Charter School. And as Mr. Smith had indicated, 10% would be our target. From there, that is one thing that we are going to be talking with our Lake Wales Charter School Foundation, is what percentage of, where do we need to be with our foundation and building up our foundation to complement and be in like similar type ranges with the foundation. So we're going to be talking more about that in the coming months as we look at strategically building up our foundation as well. We are currently at 5:17, so Dr. Hutto, I'll turn it over to you for chair And trustee reports and scholarship committee discussion.
For my chair report, I just want to spotlight, because it refers to the welding machine. This past Friday, I spent some time here at the high school and actually took a tour of the engineering classroom, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. I'm probably the least mechanical person in the room, but Mr. Sargent, who is the classroom teacher, was saying with this welding system, students can map out what they want to do, kind of get a plan, and then hands-on practice what that plan just gave them. But what I also learned Friday is last year we had one student who completed the AS in engineering. This year they're on target at a minimum to have 5. With the AS certification, it's going to increase the Bright Futures funds that are available to our students. In the classroom, Mr. Saran and the teacher started talking, and a female student in the classroom educated me on the entire system. So if you guys have free time, I highly recommend just visiting, because I was blown away to have a female student sitting there explaining everything to me, and she's one that's on target to get that AS degree. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were all aware of those things that I learned myself on Friday. So thank you, Mr. Saran, for your time. Mr. Piersdorf, do you have anything to report or anything you want to share? Okay. Ms. Kwong.
I'm just excited looking at the principal reports and the beginning of the school year and all of the possibilities that lie ahead for our students and our schools this year. So thank you for getting everything off to a great start.
And Ms. Stewart, I'm going to come back to you so you can talk about the scholarship committee. Dr. McKeon?
Yeah, super huge congratulations to the high school with the A. A lot of other schools, like Miss Barnhart's school, really close to making those improvements on grades, which is awesome. So I know we're all looking forward to seeing that, trying to achieve that high-performing school and high-performing districts. I was able to get out to Bach North here just before they started school, take a little tour of the campus with Miss Schick, the new principal, and we're trying to make some moves. Miss Conrad and I have a meeting scheduled Wednesday with the city. We're going to try to set up something where they've got a little more access to PE possibilities on neighboring lots, partnering with the city. So yeah, just trying to help move forward and help all the schools as much as possible.
Dr. Johnson?
Just want to add, just say ditto to what Ms. Plum has said. I'm sure that all of you are exhausted, but you're through the first week of school, and I think that you guys are doing an awesome job. So just keep doing it. My grandbabies were super excited to go to school, and it's great to hear when I have one that's in Hillcrest, and she went to first grade, and she said yesterday, Gigi, I cannot wait to go to school tomorrow. And I think that that is a testament of how great that our schools are. So just keep up the good work. Just keep up.
Mr. Boyd?
Well, I don't want to follow all that.
Sorry.
No, it's great. That's great. That's all good stuff. No, I have a concern that I just wanted to voice because I feel like I should. So, and I know Ms. Conrad's already aware of this, but man, we had I don't know if you guys know, we had a football game Thursday night. It was great, and the team looks good. But anyway, the field, I don't know. I know you're on it. The point is that it was extremely humiliating for me as somebody who spent many years helping Coach Johnson. That field was green, but it was weeds, and there were craters in it. And I just think that we got to do better. And not only does that make the charter system look bad, it makes our whole community, in my mind, look bad. So anyway, I know you're on it, and I appreciate that. So anyway, that's it. Other than that, everything's great.
Mr. Thompson?
I had an opportunity the second day of school. No, it was the first day of school. I was passing by Hillcrest, and definitely going the speed limit due to some cameras. But I look over and, man, it was all hands on deck, Dr. Acevedo. Like, I could tell teachers were out there. And listen, you're right there by 60. You got cars and parents and everybody. And I look out, and there's Dr. Acevedo in the sun, and it was about 30 levels of hell out there. And he's leading the charge at the front of the line. So thank you so much for being that leader and I'm sure our principals are, but I saw you that day, and I was thinking, man, I got to turn my air conditioner up, and I kept going. But thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, and Ms. Stewart's going to lead us in a discussion on a scholarship committee.
All right, so basically, just doing some brainstorming, and Kim, jump in here if you need to. So what we're thinking about is doing scholarships for the K through 8 grades, for some of the extracurricular activities that they're doing, as well as the arts, music, trying to get the community involved in donating, sponsoring those scholarships for some of our students. There's a great need, I think, and I know there was some communication with the city manager as well about, the cost of living going up. We got more families that are in poverty now, so I think it's important for us as a charter school to maybe do what we can to help with those scholarships. And me being a athlete and a student athlete myself, I know how important the sports was in my academics, as well as those other extracurricular activities. So just kind of wanted to get the board's input on the logistics of trying to form this committee. Of course, and TJ, you can help me out here. What we're thinking about is maybe running it through the foundation, if that's even, a thought, as far as having the different organizations and community members donate to the foundation to help with some of those, scholarships. So,
Yes, I'm no longer on the foundation. I was on the foundation board for about a decade, so I think it's a great venue. It's set up perfectly for contributions, and then it's been pretty easy to move that money through the foundation to whatever. It could come in as a restricted fund, right? So I guess people could make donations that they could allocate. We want to utilize for K through 8 scholarships. One of the questions I did get a couple times as a foundation member in the past was, well, what does a foundation do? Like, what do they pay for? What do they spend money on? And I think it's something that the foundation, and I'll say this when I was in charge of it as chair, was we could have done a better job saying, hey, we pay for support staff of the year, teacher of the year, raised a lot of money to the foundation for the Bach South building, for the Bach North building. A lot of money goes to the foundation that gets donated through large donors. The foundation does multiple scholarships for the high school athletes, or high school students graduating each year, heading off to college. So it does a lot of great things. And I think maybe putting out a little budget that sort of kind of shows how that gets laid out would be great. So, no, I think that's, so the thought would be to help students that couldn't afford to do extracurriculars?
correct.
Okay, yeah.
Correct. For equipment, things of that nature.
So,
To help out with that.
So Trustee Stewart, we do agenda planning for the next foundation meeting coming up on, I believe, on Wednesday, with Ms. Soulette and Ms. Nguyen. And so would you like me to propose to put that on the agenda for
Yes,
September
ma'am.
2nd? Okay, thank you.
And Tanya, as you're forming a committee, I would say have a couple, at least, of the elementary principals, because several of them have worked with the Mountain Lake Foundation and gotten lots of grants within their schools, so they may be a good source to kind of plan on who to reach out to.
Correct. And that was the thought process, to get at least one member from each school as part of the committee, help out with some of that outreach, as well as the selection of the scholarships maybe could come from the different organizations. And
Great.
great. All right, so I guess we just need to form the committee and, you know, do the footwork and all that good stuff. Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And just,
What she said.
and just have Marie, just if things come up between the meetings, if you'll just let Marie know, could you ask the trustees?
Oh, yeah. I don't want Sean to get upset with me.
Thank you for spearheading this, because I agree, it's something I think we do need. Because I know just the kids in my family that participate in sports, it gets insanely expensive very quickly, and we've got lots of struggling families.
I agree.
All right, any questions on our school updates? We're currently at 5:28, so any questions for our schools this afternoon or this evening? All right, any other business for the good of the cause? All right, with that, we will adjourn, and would we like to take a 5-minute break? Okay, sounds good. So would you call the roll to adjourn, please?
Trustee Blair,
Yes.
Trustee Thompson,
Yes.
Trustee Huddle,
Yes.
Trustee Stewart,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee McKeon,
Yes.
Trustee Kwong.
Yes.
Superintendent?
Yep, and we will be back in session at 5:35 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna call the business meeting to order. Before Mr. Blair leads us in the invocation and pledge, our system, I get emotional all the time, but our system lost somebody that's very special to everyone who ever encountered him. Mr. Francie Laurent with our transportation department passed away. Everyone who I've talked to about him just comments, he was so personable. He had a joy about serving others that was infectious. You couldn't be around him without smiling. He was patient, loyal, generous. From his coworkers to teachers to students, everybody just loved his infectious personality. To anyone who ever met him, you instantly became his friend. So we just want to take a moment of silence before our invocation just to recognize Mr. Laurent and his 7.5 years of dedicated service to our system and our students. Mr. Blair?
Let's stand. Father, we thank you so much for this time today, and Lord, I just ask a special blessing on Mr. Lawrence's family as they go through this period of grief. Lord, bless our time together here today. May we make wise decisions that are best for our students and our educators. And Lord, we'll give you the praise for that. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Marie, can you do a roll call for us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Pearstor. Trustee Blair.
Here.
Trustee Thompson.
Here.
Trustee Hutto.
Here.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee McKeon.
Here.
Trustee Kwong.
Here.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Marie. Next on our agenda, we have some board recognitions to do.
If Jamie Winfrey could join us at the podium up here. So, Ms. Winfrey, we would like to recognize you for your year of service as the teacher representative last school year. And I would also like to recognize that you are my first teacher trustee, my first year here as superintendent of the charter school system, and I really enjoyed working with you. And it was a great year. And I look forward to working with Mr. Bill Pierstorff next school year. So you've set the bar high for our teacher representative.
You
So
definitely did.
Dr. Hutto, did you have any words?
No, I just wanted to echo what the superintendent said. Just in my interactions with teachers, they felt more heard this past year than they have in quite a while. And a lot of that is in part to you and your efforts on bringing in multiple voices. So thank you for all that you did.
Thank you. I loved it.
We'll take it. Well,
Are we standing?
I'll take it. Is this good?
Marie, do we have any scheduled persons addressing the board on agenda items?
No, ma'am.
Next on our agenda, we have the Bach Academy South Charter Contract Renewal. So I'll entertain a motion for that approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. McKeon, second by Mr. Blair. Is there any further discussion or questions? Marie?
Trustee Pearsall? I'm sorry. Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. We have the approval for the Lake Wells Charter School reading plan for 2026-2027. I entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Quam. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Johnson. Is there any further discussion or questions on the plan? Okay, Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the Hazel Health contract for 2026-2027. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. McKeon. Is there
I'll
a second?
second.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any further discussion or questions? Okay, Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. Next, we have our Lake Wells Charter Schools Internet Safety Policy. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Blair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Johnson. Is there any further discussion or questions? Okay, Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. Next, we have Lake Wells Charter School AI Policy. I'll entertain a motion for its approval.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Thompson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. Is there any further questions or discussions? Okay, Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. Approval of the CTE purchase over $50,000 for Lake Wells High School. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Blair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. McKeon. Is there any further questions or discussion?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. We have approval of the Board of Trustees work session minutes from June 22nd, 2026. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I motion.
Moved by Dr. Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. McKeon. Any questions or concerns with the minutes? Okay, Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Kwong?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. Approval of the Board of Trustees meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2026. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. McKeon. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Ms. Quam? Any questions or concerns with those minutes? Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Quam.
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. Then we also need to approve minutes from our Board of Trustees special work session from July 27th, 2026. I'll
So
entertain a
moved.
motion. Motion by Dr.
moved.
McKeon, second by Dr. Johnson. Any questions or concerns on those minutes? Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Quam.
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Motion carries. And we also have the minutes from the Board of Trustees special board meeting from July 27th. So I entertain a motion for its approval.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Blair, is there a second?
I'll second for the guy that wasn't here.
Okay. Any questions or concerns on those minutes? Okay, Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Quam.
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Okay, motion carries. Okay, next we have approval of the financial report for June 2026. I'll entertain a motion for its approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Thompson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Johnson. Are there any further questions for Mr. Smith? Okay, Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Quam.
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Okay, motion carries. And then we have approval of the adopted budget for 2026, 2027. Is there a motion for its approval?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Stewart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. McKeon. Are there any further questions for Mr. Smith on those?
I have some discussion real
Okay.
quick. I have some questions about, Mr. Smith alluded to a couple of those during his presentation, but I also have some questions about some different things that were, I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's not be a board of just yeses. And I know we're not, but I think it's important that I ask some questions about people's pay and all those sorts of things. I was given an answer that that I'm good with, and that was people were given a little bit more money. Certain people were given a little bit more money because of market adjustments. They did a market analysis and those sorts of things. So just FYI, I know that this wasn't just a straight veto deal. A straight yes deal. That there's been due diligence that's gone into this, and there's been questions asked and answered, and I'm good with the answers that I received. So anyway, that's it.
Any further discussion or questions for Mr. Smith? Ms. Marie?
Trustee Blair?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Hutto?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee McKeon?
Yes.
Trustee Quam.
Yes.
Madam Chair?
We're back to our superintendent for her report.
Thank you, Dr. Hutto. So for our superintendent's report for August 17th, since our last board meeting, which was back in June, along with our retreat, I've been present, visible, and of service in our schools and community. So here are a few highlights during that time. And before I get into those highlights, I want to say, and I don't want to like jinx this, but everywhere I have been in the first week of school, and even today, even though we were looking at plumbing problems at Hillcrest, everybody from teachers to parents to principals has said this has been one of the smoothest starts to a school year that we've had in a very long time. So principals, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all the planning and everything that you have done in the summer months. Thank you to our directors and our charter system leaders, teacher leaders, our classroom leaders. We really, we launched a really great school year. So thank you. Thank you for all your work on that. So first of all, we ended up having a lot of meetings as well. Over the summer, July 20th, we did a local emergency response planning and training. That was part of our strategic plan, where we were being very diligent and transparent and ready to go when it came to local emergency response and making sure that we were organized. Attended the beginning of the year charter school principal meeting on July 21st, and then beginning of the year leadership team meeting on July 30th, which it was a long meeting, but we had a good one, where we went over strategic plan monitoring and data collection. We came to calculation consensus that I'm going to talk about here. ESE strategic planning and training, attendance MTSS training, finalized our local emergency response planning. We did scenarios, we talked about teacher evaluations and Title IX compliance. And so it was a lot, but it was good. That leads us in the direction of one of our charter school commitments or strategic plan commitments of consistency. Final evaluation meetings for all principals and all Lake Wales Charter School leaders that I supervised were completed the last 2 weeks of June. Did interviews for the Bach North principal, so I'm glad Dr. Schick is on board with us. Had numerous meetings for planning the first week back, professional development sessions, including the Lake Wales Contact Day, Charter School Contact Day, the Welcome Back celebration, and the Tier 1 positive student behavior training that all elementary and secondary attended. It was a lot of planning, and thank you. There are several people that are out in our audience that, and you know who you are, you put a lot of time and effort in helping, and it was a team effort to get that first week back set and going. So thank you for that. We've been conducting Lake Wales Charter School Foundation planning with Michelle Ouellette, the chair, and Leanne Wynn, the vice chair, and that happened also in July. Then also meeting with Polk Vision Lead and their lead literacy team, Skip Alford and I. He presented an initiative around early literacy to the board at the board retreat on June 22nd, and we were meeting with a key partner in helping us map literacy assets, and that happened also at the end of July. One of my most favorite trainings of the summer was courageous coaching in Lake Wales Charter Schools through roadmaps that support teaching and learning of the best standards in literacy and math, and that happened on July 30th. So we had 18 instructional leaders attend this session, and this was the first of 7 sessions that's going to run through February to really strategically support our instructional leaders in pushing us in our goals of our strategic plan to being high performance. And once again, empowering our teachers and investing in capacity of our educators is really where we want to be and how we believe that we are going to reach high performing and excellence for our students. Summer rounding meetings and checking in on the start of school planning and SIPs, or school improvement plans for principals. Hillcrest Elementary Assistant Principal interviews, and we want to let you know that the second round interview team did not find a fit and recommended reposting the position, and so Hillcrest Elementary Assistant Principals interviews are set. Next round or next group would be this week is set, and we will be following the same process. I attended the Lake Wales High School Friends and Family Band Showcase on July 31st, and when they recommend for you to use earplugs or hand you earplugs to go into the gym, take them, because it was really loud, and I did utilize them. Also, that first week back at a glance and our Lake Wales Charter School Contact Day was a success. Thank you to everyone who completed feedback surveys to help us improve, because we definitely will be doing it again next year with your suggestions and feedback. Welcome Back celebration on August 7th was fabulous. We did finish right at 9:30. As we were predicting and as promised, so that was awesome, and thank you to everyone. Thank you, Miss Marie, for all of your work on that back to school celebration. I attended the benchmark advanced training at Janie Howard Wilson, Polk Avenue in Hillcrest on August 10th, and so all of our K-5 staff had their initial training, and all the materials arrived before students arrived for the start of school. Then, of course, there's been staff problem solving and support meetings, and then once again completed several visits for schools, etc. And this past week was drop-offs in the morning. This week I'm going to hit dismissals. So I'm going to be appropriately dressed to be ready for that, because this week it's hot, right? It's going to be the hottest week of the summer. Also in your report that will be linked in board docs, and I'll email this out to you, is our strategic plan is on our website, and our strategic plan monitoring that was worked on and presented to our leadership. And one of the things that came up at the board retreat was getting consensus on how we were doing attendance metrics, right? Attendance measures. So they were reviewed, and through our MTSS attendance process, working with Mrs. Rose and our new social worker, Krista Hampton, who leads attendance. Here are the definitions in our answer to our data piece. So first off, average daily attendance. ADA is the average percentage of enrolled students are present at school on any given day. And we will take that metric for the strategic plan on the second Monday of each month. So think of it as like a dipstick, or if we're going to use a health analysis, taking your temperature on that particular day. Okay, so it tells us who's in the building and how the building is doing. The second measure definition is chronic absenteeism, the percentage of individual students who miss 10% or more of school days for any reason, excused or unexcused, including disciplinary suspensions, would be through chronic absenteeism, because students are missing instructional minutes, right? We're not talking about field trips or authorized things. We're talking about truly missing instructional time. So ADA, average daily attendance, tells us if our building is full today, how full we are, and chronic absenteeism really reflects presence and engagement. And so those are the two monitoring, and being very clear about, we want to look at both, but they serve two different reasons. Our MTSS, or multi-tiered system support attendance, focuses on engagement, and we use chronic absenteeism as the data reference point that helps us navigate through finding resources and taking down barriers for students. So once again, all of this is pulled from Focus and also from our Focus early warning system, and second Monday of each month is our data metric point. So that is my report for the month of August.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is related but unrelated.
Okay.
So chronic absenteeism, do we have a way, or do we have any idea whether discipline is bigger or worse or better, I guess I should say, based on, is that a metric on a discipline issue, a student who's a discipline problem is absenteeism, or is it, we don't know? I'm just asking.
Yeah, so chronic absenteeism is a measure of missed instructional minutes. It doesn't matter what the reason is, it just means you are not present for instructional reasons. So it could be you have a student that is out for a whole lot of family vacations. They could be considered chronically absent. You could have a student that has a medical condition. They're all excused, but they are chronically absent due to that condition. That would fall under chronic absenteeism. And then if you do have a student that is in our multi-tiered system, let's say they're in tier 3 of our multi-tiered systems of support, in other words, they're receiving a lot of support or some type of significant discipline problem happen, they're missing instructional minutes, so that's why they would be in the chronic absenteeism number. So we're just saying those would be cases where they would miss instruction. Thank you, Dr. Huddle. Oh, and then I was going to go, next meeting is Monday, September 21st, 4 o'clock for our work session, 5:30 for our business meeting. Same place, right here at Lake Wales High School on September 21st.
Are there any scheduled persons addressing the board on non-agenda items? Okay, that moves us to our trustees report. Just a couple extras. I did K-Days at Polk Avenue again. I've done that since before I joined the board. And again, there is a special place in heaven for kindergarten teachers. So I also did the contact day. Not so much as board chair, but several of their sessions lead into courses I'm teaching this semester. But I have to say how impressed I was with the organization of the day. I did 5 sessions. 3 of the 5 were taught by classroom teachers or one of the reading coaches. And it was just phenomenal information that I learned a lot and turned into part of my presentation to Warner faculty. But again, going to the CTE programs here, as I was visiting with Mr. Saran, and he took me to the engineering classroom. Just so the rest of the board is aware, there is an online candy company whose mold for their candy was created by Lake Wells High School students, and they're being sold online. They've done a couple projects for Peterson Industries here in Lake Wells, and the 16-year-old female student I talked to, she is actually going to be working on a project. It's a lever to one of the machines that Peterson Industries uses. It becomes very uncomfortable for their employees, and she's working on a project to create a design that's more ergonomic and more comfortable for them. So it's going to have the LW on the side, and it's going to go nationwide. It's not just going to stay at Peterson here in Lake Wells. So our CTE programs here at the high school are doing phenomenal. Yeah. And just Box South, the charter renewal, just gearing up for a new school year. So just shout out to Ms. Barnhart and her staff and all that helped her with this. It's phenomenal. Sitting down with Mr. Saran, he's broken down data. Even though they reached that A, they're not stopping there. And he's just the data that he's come up with, looking at the past 5 years, the areas they've strengthened, the areas they still need to work on. And I know all of our principals are doing that. So I feel very confident we're going to make a lot of progress to our goal of becoming a high-achieving charter system. So trustees, does anyone have anything extra they would like to add?
I do. Okay. So this will be my last meeting. I'm resigning from the board effective tonight. It's been a great 4 years. Look at me like that. My family and I are relocating to the Vero Beach area, and this has been a tough. But the first couple of years were tough, and we fought through some really good battles together, and I'm real proud of the work we've done. I'm proud of we got the right leader in place. So I'm super excited about this entire board and how it's positioned itself and what it's made up of. So I just challenge you, like I said earlier, don't be afraid to ask questions. Be that fly in the ointment, and just demand full transparency. And anyway, my only regret is that I'm not going to see us become that charter school system of excellence that I so badly want us to become, and I know we will. So anyway, that's it for me. No drama, no nothing. I just I appreciate the time, and hopefully it's been I don't know. I felt like I had a lot to overcome in the beginning, a lot of judgment, but anyway, here we are. So thank you all, and good night.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for all the hard work you put in.
It's been a pleasure. So you fuss about the grass and you leave.
What?
You fuss about the grass and you leave.
Hey, listen, I had to go out with a complaint.
We wish you and your family well as you move on.
Yes.
You will definitely be missed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other trustees have anything?
Who y'all gonna put next to me? I don't know.
So just along those lines, that's a city-appointed seat, correct?
That's a good
Yes.
point. I think normally that comes from a city, well, I guess the mayor appoints the person, and I think it goes, if I'm not mistaken, they try to choose a city commissioner first. That's what I thought last time. Is that right, Ricky?
The practice has been they check to see which commissioner is interested.
Okay.
And if none is interested, then they come to a consensus of a
Okay,
person that they present to the board.
all right. So, I guess, Ms. Conrad, you'll reach out to the mayor?
We will begin work on that tomorrow.
All right, okay.
Is there any other business for the good of the cause? Marie, can you do is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Blair, his last action. Right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. McKeon. Any concerns? Okay, Marie, roll call, please.
Trustee Blair,
Yes.
Trustee Thompson,
Yes.
Trustee Hutto,
Yes.
Trustee Stewart,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee McKeon,
Yes.
Trustee Kwong.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Okay, motion carries.